Hey to all those seeking vibrant health, it's Dr. Rachel Northern here at Johnsburg Chiropractic and Wellness Center in Johnsburg. And I'm going this year, I've been doing my talks about chapters in my book, Journey to Vibrant Health, which you can find on Amazon. And we're covering chapter 9 today of social health externally that rejuvenates you internally. So I have this talk is a lot of Socratic. So if you have a notebook or pen and paper, or you can revisit this talk, it'll stay on Facebook for a while, and we'll move it by next week into my YouTube channel. So that's Rachel Northern, and we'll have some more of that information at the last slide. So talking about social health, and some people go, okay, why would a chiropractor talk about social health? And we talk about social health, or I'm talking about social health, because that affects us physically. So I have so many times a patient comes in and I can just say, see just the way they're presenting that they're dealing with something, and that, if physically you can see it, and it shows up on tension in their body. Sometimes I'll have a reoccurring area if someone's experiencing grief, or stress, work stresses, such those kind of things actually manifest into our bodies. When I was in chiropractic college, we were taught something called like the 3 T's. Trauma, that causes subluxation or misalignments in the spine. Thoughts, so again, that what's going on in our head. And then toxins, so chemicals. So we're bombarded by so many chemicals nowadays, and I have lots of talks that I talk about that and eliminating that. Last month we talked about detoxification and trying to do that twice a year, so you can look back on those talks. So we're going to kind of cover a little bit of the thoughts and social and how that supports you. So, and I'm going to give you some resources at the end that you can look into. So let's move on with that. And let me get my pointer ready. Okay, so first off, health is defined as physical, mental, social well-being, not just the absence of disease, symptoms, problems, or ailments. So, that's right in there. Health, social. Social is part of health. So this is what the talk's about. So you want to be healthy all around, well-rounded, healthy-wise. You got to think about your social life as well. So today, just talking about today, the social pressures we have, increased, stress rates, increased suicide rates, depression, mental illness, just more demands on our minds. There's more increased financial burdens going on with just everything costing more and different things that happen through the years, and more demands on our time. More people are doing just required. They think they need to be doing all these activities. There's a lot of people trying to get our attention to do certain things, especially if you have a family with young kids that maybe are in sports or extracurricular. I swear there's 10 times more extracurricular activities in high schools and even in elementary school than there was when I was in school, 30 years ago or so. So there's just a lot of demands on our time. And also we have a lot more distractions. We have, internet, just it's new in the last 2 decades, 2.5 decades. And that's the internet. Now we have little computers on our phones, and social media, which we just keep having more and more things that they want our attention. That's what they're designed to do, is try to capture our attention and keep our attention, and that takes us away from other things that could be better for us. So first, thinking about social health, I think starting with you yourself. Do you know your purpose? So that helps you live a better life if you know what you are called to do, what you feel like you're called to do. I know my calling is to glorify God by helping others grow physically, mentally, or spiritually. And that's what I try to do and live my life's calling. And if I come across something that isn't congruent with that, then I know that's not something for me. And that helps me know what kind of groups I want to be in, know what people I don't want to kind of hang out with. So it definitely, your purpose, finding your purpose is very helpful. And think about it, the way you can know if you're living your purpose is kind of gauge how happy you are. And I'm going to give you a resource to help you with that at the end of the last slide here. So think about it. Are you happy? Do people know you and think that you're happy? I have a lot of patients that come in here and go, Rachel, you seem happy all the time. Like, are you real? And I try, that's effort. Sometimes it takes time in the morning, and maybe I'm not so happy, but I do a lot of positive self-talk and trying to get myself there, like fake it till you make it sometimes, and then, it just eventually becomes the norm. So I know when I'm in a funk, and I have people in the office that call me out when they're like, hey, that's not a good way to think, or if I say something negative, I have other people in my life that hold me accountable. It's like, is there a better way to think about that? And even with patients that are coming into the office, sometimes I just ask them a question, what's good? And sometimes people can't even think of that. Like, I think we're so blessed, and especially in this country. I've traveled to Haiti twice, and when you go to underdeveloped countries and realize how blessed we are here in this country, it makes it very easy to be like, there's a lot of things that are good, a lot of things that we can think about, and it's kind of sad when I can ask somebody and they can't think of one thing of telling me what's good in their life. So that means they're focusing on all the negatives, unfortunately. So are you trying to keep up with the Joneses? So are you stuck in that comparison game? And is that kind of controlling your who you socialize, or where you're putting your efforts in your life? And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And how are you using your talents, your gifts, your money, your skills? Like, this is something you could sit down and be like, even if you just look at your pocketbook or your way your debit account is going, like where are you spending your money at? That's right there showing you what you have value, true value. And if you think, it's not, you don't think that that's really valuable to you, then you're not congruent with yourself. So, if you're noticing you're spending tons of money buying a bunch of movies or streaming or things like that, when you want to be spending more money towards taking new classes or going back to college, and then people use the excuse saying, I don't have money, but then they spend money on other things that aren't going towards the goals that you want. So that's a good way. Look where you're spending your energy at. So do you know what your values are? So that's kind of been a movement the last 2 decades as well, or especially the last decade, of saying, okay, what do you actually value? And I have other talks that I go over that a little bit, and we'll have another resource at the end for that. So, and then once you find your values, are you living them? So these are just some questions for you guys to think about. Like, evaluate. Community. So this is about who are you, your community is who you surround yourself with. So, like, pay attention. Who are you hanging out with the most? Who is it that is in your life most of the time, or influences you most? Or who do you talk to on the phone or FaceTime with, or spend efforts making time for? So who is that? Do you have 2 to 3 unconditional supportive friends? And I mean unconditional is mean they love you for who you are, and also enough that they love you for who you are, but also love you, know that they can tell you the truth and speak like tough love things, like give you feedback and criticism, that if they see things maybe in your life that you're not seeing, that you're able to receive that from them in love, and being able to be supported in that way. Unfortunately, a lot of relationships are they're just going with the flow, and if anybody challenges the status quo or rocks the boat, people don't like that, and that's not a true relationship or a true friendship or a supportive friendship. So pay attention. Is it you do have certain people, if you do what they like to do, and if you don't want to do that, are they okay with that? For example is, if you choose not to drink, if you maybe want to go out somewhere, will they be okay with you either going somewhere else that you don't have to go to a bar, or somewhere else that there's no alcohol, to spend time with you, if they're willing to kind of mix it up a little bit with however you activities. So that's kind of one example. How about, do you like where you work? Do you like the environment you work with? Is it congruent with your values? I had a patient one time actually quit a really good job she loved because she wasn't congruent with the atmosphere in the job setting that she was in. They were very much gossipy, talking behind each other's backs, and she really didn't like that environment and didn't want to go there every day. And she actually stepped out on a limb, not even having another job, to catch her. And she was rewarded because she ended up finding a great job, the next one that had a great environment. Because she was rewarded because she wanted to stay congruent with her values. And I believe that does universally, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it, I believe that does work in your favor if you just step out on what you think you should do. How about your home environment or whatever? How do you make sure your environment's healthy? What you're surrounding you with? Like, if unfortunately maybe you're in a situation where you can't get out of, you need some support, try to figure out better ways to make boundaries for that environment, not let people, make sure you're not being physically abused or mentally, emotionally, deprived, and making sure that you're, got other people that are supporting you and encouraging you. So, and then what is the quality of your relationships? We kind of already talked about that a little bit. Like, are they superficial? Are they just people that you want to just go out and Friday night with? Or are you people that you want to, be in your wedding and be, raise your kids together, and they're going to be people like when you get, in a car accident or something bad really happens, or when your parent dies, are they somebody you can call and they'll be there for you in a second? Who is your really good quality friends? Do you have those in your life? So investment, so I kind of touched on this already. I talked about talents, but I talk about time, money, energy, where are you spending those resources? So I put this like I do some health and wealth talks as well. And unfortunately, so many people waste their health, like they kind of like don't take care of their body, and they putting a lot of money away for retirement and end up being unhealthy when they retire. And a lot of that money gets sucked down the drain into their health because they have such ill health issues. And healthcare is very expensive. Sickness is very expensive. So are you investing in your health? Are you investing in things that are good for long term? Like, where, are you putting your energy, your money, your time into things that are going to give you good payout in the end, towards the end of your life, towards those kind of things. So paying attention to those, where are you losing? Like, you're just wasting away some of your resources and those in time. Sit down and maybe make an evaluation where you spend your time. Make an evaluation where you're spending your money, which I already talked about, and your energy. Where is most of your energy gets sucked up? Do you got some of those emotional vampires, like they talk about energy vampires, we call them, those people that are just needy and they kind of are just like barnacles on you, and they suck your energy. They need a lot of time and attention, and there's like a lot of emotion, and you're just exhausted after you're done talking to them or being with them. That's maybe not a good place for you to be, and maybe that's not a good relationship. Maybe they're better with a different kind of person. So pay attention to that. So this is my slide I talk about, I've been alluding to, for resources. So one resource I like, and you can just like, all these you can just like Google and go on the internet for, wellness wheel. I have one particular wellness wheel that I try to do once a year, and it actually has questions. And a wellness wheel is, it like breaks down your life into like your health and your relationships and your spiritual, and it kind of breaks a circle up into these aspects, and kind of coloring in, like rate yourself like 1 to 10 from inside out of like a spoke, like a wheel, and rate yourself and see if you've got a lopsided wheel. See where you're balanced in your life. It's a good like visual observation there. So that's one resource, doing a wellness wheel exercise. I quote a lot from, I love this website, the Blue Zones. They have all kinds of stuff, but particularly for this topic, They have a test. They have 2 different tests on there. One's a true vitality test that you can take as a little 3-minute survey that you can take, and one is a happiness test, so true happiness test. And they've done tons of data collection, resources and things to know that if you take, they kind of scale you kind of where you really are at in those aspects. So I love these kind of things because sometimes you just don't know yourself. So it's cool to take these and answer these, and you kind of get a real true. It's kind of like doing a blood test. You kind of actually know what's going on with your immune system, what's going on with, your cholesterol. This is kind of like what's going on with your social health, what's going on in your internal environment, mentally. You can also Google like personal value assessments. And I Googled this, and there was like right off the bat like 4 websites that are willing to give you a free, like all the free assessment. You can just take it for free. So there's a ton of this, the stuff out there. So you can take those. One other resource is journaling or writing things down. I talk about doing like dumping your brain on paper and just spending 30 minutes. I did that this morning, just kind of dumping my brain out on paper and just kind of going, what's my distractions, what's distracting me, what things like my your to-do list, but also other things. I'm kind of the planner of the family, so nothing tends to happen right unless I plan it. So I plan our vacations, I plan stuff. So writing down kind of trips I kind of want to take, things, date nights I want to have with my husband, things like that. And I kind of just spill it out on a piece of paper. Just those are things that help me just kind of organize and kind of also look forward to how to keep my life healthy. Also you can journal about your successes, like I was just saying about asking somebody what's good, and most of the people can't think of something right off the top of your head. So sit down and write what's good. What's your successes? Give yourself a pat on the back. Like look at what's worked for you. That'll also help you, like where your talents and gifts and skills are. So another thing is like reading books. A couple months ago I read Atomic Habits, which helps you develop these kind of skills to do better things with your life. So I thought that was a great book. I usually do Audible because I like listening in the car, some of the books. So I'm usually doing 10 minutes a day at this point of trying to get some kind of good information into me to help me expand my mind and always learn. So that's something, but there's tons of books out there to help, and I already talked about mind sweeping. So this is conclusion of the talk. If you want any more information, like I said, you can always go to my YouTube channel, Rachel Northern DC CACCP, which is my pediatric certification. And The Doctor and You is our website if you want any more resources to look for. If you're local here in Johnsburg and looking for a chiropractor, a wellness doctor, give us a call. And the book, again, is A Journey to Vibrant Health, and that you can get on Amazon. Thank you for your time.